off all my clothes right now.
Get Sagicor School Companion Health Plan for as little as $2,540 per month. The time by Sagicor Life is
7 o'clock.
Tonight in CVM News at 7, done deal. Government and Jamaica Confederation of Trade Unions conclude negotiations. Growth projection reduced. Epoch's latest assessment on GDP and inflation. And lottery scamming and foreign feud at heart of Manchester murder investigation.
Also this evening, fiery meeting at St. Thomas Municipal Corporation. In the business report, World Skills Conference highlights jobs and social protection. While in sports, Akeem Blake and Tajay Gale win at Brussels Diamond League. From Kingston, Jamaica, this is CVM News at 7. I'm TK Dawkins.
And I'm Curlin Brown. It's Friday, the 13th day of September, 2024. Thanks so much for joining us. Now, just 1 month before his departure from the Ministry of Finance and the Public Service, Dr. Nigel Clark has achieved a pivotal victory by finalizing an agreement with the Jamaica Confederation of Trade Unions, the JCTU.
This landmark agreement effectively concludes the long-standing negotiations surrounding compensation restructuring for public sector workers. Jonathan Atkins tells us more.
It's a deal. After years of negotiation stalemates, the Jamaica Confederation of Trade Unions has successfully concluded negotiations with the government of Jamaica on unresolved claims under the Compensation Restructuring Initiative. An agreement was signed by the Minister of Finance and the Public Service, Dr. Nigel Clark. The JCTU says that the agreement represents a critical achievement for the public sector workers, balancing national priorities with the welfare of employees.
This marks a significant milestone in the journey embarked upon approximately 7 years ago when the unions and the government agreed to the restructuring of the compensation system for the public sector. The mutual achievement on behalf of diligent and hard-working public sector workers who continue to contribute to the advancement of Jamaica is highly significant. This agreement complements the compensation restructuring agreement, which was signed 2 years ago and which was implemented over the 3-year period inclusive of fiscal years 2022-23 to fiscal year 2024-25. And this agreement, signed yesterday, restructures conditions of service, including compensation for extra hours worked, among other conditions of service.
The JCTU says that the final agreement will be shared with its members and by extension the wider public sector workforce. The Confederation noted that the process required and highlighted the other unions under its umbrella for their confidence in the negotiation team throughout the process. The negotiations faced many difficulties, with the workers expressing concern that the elimination of many of the benefits and allowances under the Nigel Clark-led public sector compensation review left workers in a worse off position than what existed before the public sector compensation review. In 2022, thousands of public sector workers across sectors protested the proposal in the compensation review, with some going as far as withdrawing professional services as a part of the advocacy for a more favorable outcome. Admitting that all demands were not met in full, the JCTU says that this was the best possible outcome negotiated for all parties involved. The JCTU commending the outgoing Finance Minister, Dr. Nigel Clark, and the Deputy Financial Secretary, Wayne Jones, for what they described as dedication, leadership, and hard work from the two men. Many within the ranks of the trade unions were concerned that the departure of the Finance Minister, Dr. Nigel Clark, could have led to a loss of gains in the negotiation process. Reflecting on the process, the JCTU acknowledged the difficulties of the negotiation, but emphasized that the agreement ultimately served the best interest of the country and its public sector employees. Jonathan Atkins for CVM News.
EPOC's chairman Keith Duncan shares the country's GDP for the April to June quarter was flat, despite successfully completing the IMF's 18-month program in August this year. He also notes inflation is steadily falling within the central bank's targeted range of 4 to 6%, and reasons Hurricane Beryl will further slow growth in critical economic drivers like agriculture. Here's Nika Lewis with she reports on the EPOC's latest quarterly briefing.
EPOC's chairman Keith Duncan provided an overview and temperature check on the country's fiscal monitoring and economic reform programs for the April to June quarter. These were among his findings.
When we look at the economy now, and this is where we have some concern, real GDP was relatively flat at 0.1% for the April to June 2024 quarter, right? And this at 0.1%. And bearing in mind that the government of Jamaica budgeted assumptions are based on a growth of 1.8% in real GDP for the fiscal year. Okay, and and this is prior to Beryl. Okay, so therefore GDP came in flat at 0.1% in that quarter, and there was also a flat upturn in the hotel and restaurant industry, right? A key driver of Jamaica's growth post-COVID.
He notes agriculture, a major economic earner, will likely face further dips given the recent effects of Hurricane Beryl. This, as he explains, the growth projections have also been ratcheted down to between -1% to 1%.
The outlook went forward as Jamaica's growth projections have been reduced from 1.8%. So as we just discussed, lower projections for growth in 2024-25. That we see that will have impact on the fiscal, monetary, and policies of the government of Jamaica and by the Jamaica. However, globally, what we see is despite relatively high interest rates globally, growth remains resilient, holding steady at a projected 3.2% global growth, that is for 2024, and 3.3% for 2025.
Another major income earner also took a hit, as Duncan cites a dip in tourist arrivals of 0.8% relative to growth in the quarter. Yet the country's reserves remain substantial at the end of July with $5.145 million.
EPOC believes that the Bank of Jamaica needs to look at balancing inflation and growth. The Bank of Jamaica is quite focused on inflation targeting, but we believe that the BOJ's mandate could possibly take into consideration balancing inflation targeting with the growth dynamics of the economy, especially given that Jamaica has a little margin for erosion of growth as the economy normalizes its long-term growth rate of 1-2%. Looking ahead, the risks to the domestic GDP forecasts are skewed to the downside over the short to medium term, and this depends on the pace of easing of monetary policy.
Meanwhile, Duncan says the long-awaited supplementary estimates could come sometime between September and October to help plug the holes, including those caused by Beryl. Nika Lewis, CVM News.
Violence continues to plague the usually quiet parish of Manchester, which has seen a sharp rise in murders over the past week. Member of Parliament for Central Manchester, Rhoda Moy Crawford, is now calling for unity in the space, while the head of the Manchester Police insists that despite the recent surge, crime is not out of control. Our reporter Ramon Gordon has more.
In recent months, Manchester has crept into national headlines, marred by fatal acts of violence. The murder tally recently grew by 5 in a 7-day period, an uncharacteristically grim turn for a parish usually spared the brunt of criminal onslaught. Member of Parliament for Manchester Central, Rhoda Moy Crawford, is urging residents to unite.
I stand in solidarity with my well-thinking and law-abiding constituents who are rightly concerned and alarmed at the recent flare-up of violence in the parish. While the fear and anxiety that now grips residents is understandable. As law-abiding citizens, we must never allow criminals to paralyze us or weaken our resolve to stand against lawlessness.
Murders and shootings are up in the parish compared to the same period last year. That's 37% and 29% respectively. Manchester Police Chief DSP Kerry Duncan says despite the latest figures, crime is not out of control in the parish.
Most of these incidents are what we call or refer to as interpersonal incidents, where persons who are in conflict with each other find these inhumane ways to try and settle them. But for the general populace of Manchester, and I understand the fear, the psyche is affected by the incidents that are occurring. But the general populace, persons who are not involved in these feud, are not really impacted in a personal way.
It got personal for the latest victim, 46-year-old Kevin Brown, who was shot dead at a bar on Green Street, Knockpatrick, on Monday night.
The community is traumatized. I probably want some assurance from the police that the police is on top of things, especially for the Knockpatrick division.
The police have fingered lottery scamming as the possible catalyst for the crimes. Like senior crime fighters just days before, the DSP also pointed to overseas influences who may have a hand in the turmoil.
We have identified a lot of the key players locally, and they have been targeted. As a matter of fact, the last murder we have over in Green Street, we have persons in custody, and I am confident that persons will be charged for those offences over there. I reassure you that we are pulling out all the stops to ensure that whatever is happening in Manchester at this time is cauterized in very, very short order.
Ramon Gordon for CVM News.
More CVM News at 7 in a moment.
Crunchy Box for only $8.50. Crunch your craving with the new KFC Crunchy Box. A piece of delicious chicken, 2 hot wings, biscuit, and Pepsi for only $850. KFC, it's finger licking good.
Me, I go show them my way of justice.
I'm abused.
I need legal advice. I don't deserve this.
The truth of the matter is, justice there for all of we. The Ministry of Justice has trained more than 5,600 persons in restorative justice practices. More than 200,000 victims have been supported by the victim services. Legal aid has reached thousands island-wide. Make we talk it out, not fight it out. Call 888 Justice today. Motorists, as Minister of Justice, I appeal to you, obey the road code, pay your ticket on time, and only go to court if the ticket is being contested. Close to 80% of matters coming to the parish courts are for traffic breaches. Let's work together to make our roads safe and ease the burden on our courts.
Yeah man, make some noise because Burger King Double Deal Big 2 is back. The $16.50 you get 2 whole Burger King combo is a win-win. Big 2 combos, Whopper Junior Cheese with bacon, American Chicken Sandwich or Big Fish Sandwich combo for only $16.50. Spend 1 money, win 2 times. Food for me, I'm a party, or just for me, cause me hungry right now. Myself and I go hungry later. You see it? 1 money, 2 food. Makes it 1 money, 2 food. Win-win. Burger King Double Deal Big 2.
Welcome back. As the JOP's Matthew Samuda gears up for the entire North-East by-election on September 30, questions are being raised about the timing. Critics argue the government has prioritized this election while other long-standing vacancies remain unaddressed. Protests are intensifying and calls for legal reforms are growing. Ramon Gordon has the details.
Matthew Samuda has been named the JLP's candidate for St. Anne Northeast, with the by-election set for September 30. This comes despite more immediate vacancies in both Gordon House and 2 local municipalities. In St. Thomas, the opposition is ramping up protests, fiercely demanding the chance to choose a successor for Councillor Rohan Bryan, who passed away last May.
One of their member of parliament resigned on Tuesday, and by Wednesday a by-election order was given. So we are saying, what is it about St. Thomas why we can't get a by-election? The people of the Marquette division is not being represented any at all.
Residents of the Morant Bay Division aren't the only Jamaicans without local representation. The South Trelawney seat has been vacant since last September, after the JLP's Marissa Dalrymple Filbert stepped down as MP. And over in North Clarendon, the Anon Town Division is left in limbo following the recent death of JLP Councillor Marjorie McLeod McFarlane. Additionally, Northwest St Andrew Finance Minister Dr. Nigel Clark will be stepping down as MP at the end of October for an international appointment. No by-election has been announced there. The Prime Minister in St Anne, alongside Samuda Wednesday, rebuffed claims of political manipulation and said his government would declare outstanding elections in short order.
I want to assure the country I've heard some concerns being raised about constituencies that have been without representatives. I too hold that concern. I too share the perspective that as quickly as possible, to maintain the stability of the government, elections ought to be called in those constituencies.
The date for those elections are still unknown. Electoral watchdog Cafe has criticized the Prime Minister for manipulating by-election dates and called for legal changes to ensure timely elections. The opposition agrees to some extent, choosing to forego the September 30 by-election and instead focus on the general election in 2025.
We are saying, what is it about St. Thomas why we can't get a by-election? The people of the Marquette division is not being represented any at all. And to be honest, with the back-to-school situation, even in Marquette, I went to speak to the mayor, and he promised that he would have done something, and he did nothing at all for the People's Action Party supporters. He did nothing. So the people here are not represented any at all. And we are saying that the time has come that Mr. Holness use the law, go by what governed the country, and call the by-election.
Ramon Gordon for CVM News.
The St. Thomas Municipal Corporation's monthly meeting was anything but peaceful yesterday after fiery clashes among councillors dominated a segment. Adrian Williams shares highlights of the incident.
Municipal meetings are held each month to table the parish's matters and the solutions. In the St. Thomas Municipal meeting, this was done, but not without heated clashes among the members. Minority Leader for the PNP, Hubert Williams, was not in agreement with directives for residents to give up their chairs to parish agency representatives who were present but had no seating.
Every resident of St. Thomas that sits in that area have a right to do so. It's not a privilege to do so, it's a right. So I'm going to tell the residents who don't wish to get up that just as Rosa Parks sat on that bus in the civil rights movement in the US, have your seat. Nobody can take your first come, first serve for those seats.
Chief Executive Officer of the municipality, CEO Claudia Carter, urged the attendees to consider that the agencies will play a critical role to which Williams preferred a solution. But where there was a possible solution, there was also resistance.
We can get some seat for them. This is a very important meeting today. We can make some arrangements, send for some more chair down by the office.
Mr. Chairman, point to order. This council doesn't work like that. This council doesn't work like that. Our agency is very important to this meeting. So therefore, any additional chair should have done 2-3 years ago.
Councillor for the Trinityville Division, Dean Jones, was in agreement that visitors should give seats to agencies present.
If you invite somebody at your wedding and don't prepare the food or the chair for them, then it doesn't make no sense. We invite the agencies and the agencies are here. all the visitors that are in the room is supposed to stand and allow the agent to sit because we invite them here. They are here. These persons are only here because of a reason. They are not here because of the meeting. They are here for a reason. They are on a mission here.
The meeting seemed to be at a standstill for some as tempers continued to flare on other matters.
And I'm also telling the people of St. Thomas, don't jam into the only place alone. The inferior material used, it used many other places on the highway. And we need larger investigation in this because let me tell you something. St. Thomas down on highway for get years and years and years to come. So we have to ensure that this one we get now be preserved. So we can use it and our kids can use it. And we can increase commerce and business activity. And St. Thomas become a better place to live, to work, and to do business.
Adrian Williams for CVM News.
To this update now, the vendor who went viral for urinating in a plastic container has been charged. The incident, which sparked outrage on social media, occurred outside the Charles Gordon Market in St. James. Here's Britannia Witter with more.
The female vendor caught on camera urinating in a bottle near the Charles Gordon Market in St. James is now facing multiple charges. Sherika Lewis, acting public health inspector at the St. James Health Services, confirmed that several charges were laid against the woman.
There were 6 charges to include having no food handler's permit and also contaminating food items and the vehicle used to transport food.
She's scheduled to appear in court at the end of September. If found guilty, the woman, whose identity has not been released, faces a fine of $1 million or 12 months in prison. The incident, which came to light a few weeks ago, triggered social media users, some of whom demanded sanctions. Meanwhile, Lewis says some concerns have been raised about sanitary conditions at the Charles Gordon Market.
Lack of security and pest proofing. There were stray animals observed, and also that the area is accessible to loiterers and scavengers. There are also unsanitary conditions at the fish market and meat market. And the main concern is the fact that the market vendors are outside of the approved vending areas, and based on this, it is contributing negatively to the aesthetics and the overall condition of the market space.
In response to the issues, the St. James Health Department will be hosting a food handlers workshop on October 23 and October 30. The latest incident mirrors closely another miles away in Kingston, where a vendor from the popular crab circle at Hero Circle was fined and evicted from the space. All the vendors who occupied the space were also forced to temporarily evict the space and participate in food handlers and food safety workshops before vending could resume there. Britannia Witter, CVM News.
Still more to come here on CVM News at 7. Stay with us.
Buy a bag of Hypro feeds and win a bag of cash in the Farm to Fortune promotion. Hypro is back with another chance for you to win a share of millions in the Farm to Fortune promotion. Try for the grand prize of $3 million. Weekly prizes of $100,000 plus daily prizes. To enter, buy any qualifying Hypro feed and text the entry code in the bag for your chance to win a bag of cash in the Hypro Farm to Fortune promotion. Watch your pocket grow. Watch it grow in Hypro. Conditions apply. Authorized under Section 58.3 of the Betting, Gaming and Lotteries Act.
Only a Heineken is perfectly brewed for that first Now let's turn up the refreshment. Get ready for perfectly brewed experiences. Enter now to win a trip for 2 to South Beach, Miami, including VIP experience at Club 11 and dinner at Giselle, plus weekly and bi-weekly prizes. Get ready for perfectly brewed experiences with Heineken. Go to HeinekenWin.com for details and enter to win. Heineken, perfectly brewed for that first Must be 18 years and older. Drink and live responsibly.
This is the Aedes aegypti mosquito that spreads the Zika, chikungunya, and dengue viruses. Search for its breeding sites and destroy them.
This is the Aedes aegypti mosquito that spreads the Zika, chikungunya, and dengue viruses. Protect yourself from the bite of this mosquito.
A message from the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
Crunchy Box for only $8.50. Crunch your craving with the new KFC Crunchy Box. A piece of delicious chicken, 2 hot wings, biscuit, and Pepsi for only $850. KFC, it's finger licking good.
Welcome back. Vocational skills have always been a highlight for many youth in the country, and the Heart NSTA Trust has piloted this move. To present these skills in a competitive manner, a team has represented the country in a skills competition in France. Adrian Williams tells us more.
The Heart NSTA Trust is responsible for molding the vocational and technical skills for many Jamaicans. Managing Director of Heart, Dr. Tanisha Ingleton, has led a team that will be competing in the We Are World Skills competition in Lyon, France.
Our participants are going for gold. So here in Lyon, coming from Tanisha Ingleton, your official delegate and CEO of World Skills Jamaica, Jamaica is ready to participate and take home a medal back to Jamaica, showcasing what we can do and demonstrating that where there's a skill, there is a way.
The 3-day competition, which ends September 12, will aim to showcase the skills honed through the NSTA's certificate programs.
At the Heart NSTA Trust, we pride ourselves in providing world-class training to our young people so that they can be on the world stage and do their part in advancing Jamaica's economy. We have been equipping them with the skills and competencies that they need to perform at their optimal here in Lyon, France.
Au cœur de l'économie des nations, il y a des compétences. Meaning, at the heart of a nation's economy, there are skills. Adrian Williams for CVM News.
We go to the market summary now as we head into our next break.
I gotta show them my way of justice.
I'm abused. I need legal advice. I don't deserve this.
The truth of the matter is, justice there for all of we. The Ministry of Justice has trained more than 5,600 persons in restorative justice practices. More than 200,000 victims have been supported by the victim services. Legal aid has reached thousands island-wide. Make we talk it out, not fight it out. Call 888 Justice today.
Crunchy Box for only $8.50. Crunch your craving with the new KFC Crunchy Box. A piece of delicious chicken, 2 hot wings, biscuit, and Pepsi for only $850. KFC, it's finger licking good.
The Bureau of Standards Jamaica is your conformance testing partner with over 54 years of serving Jamaican businesses. Our world-class lab testing services ensure the safety of your food and commodities that you take to market. We are positioned as a business enabler, driving business development, competitiveness, trade, and ensuring consumer safety. We have 5 times the capacity to test over other local labs, plus 10 labs with accredited tests and calibration. We set the standard that promotes safety to consumers in a number of industries, including food processing, agriculture, and construction, having tested over 57,000 products on average annually and growing.
Hi, my name is Valton Gooden, and I'm the Executive Director of the Bureau of Standards. Let us take your products from lab to market.
Remember,
Remember, update your status in a real life. Do a HIV test today.
Just 15 minutes, say your status clear. Real long life, our story.
The time by the Ministry of Health and Wellness is 12:15.
Tell me an animal with spots.
A bear.
I'm gonna tell you right now. If bear's up there, I'm taking off all my clothes right now.
Crunch your craving with the new KFC Crunchy Box for only $850. KFC, it's finger licking good. The time by KFC is...
We welcome you back with a recap of some of our major stories. Just 1 month before his departure from the Ministry of Finance and the Public Service, Dr. Nigel Clarke has achieved a pivotal victory by finalizing an agreement with the Jamaica Confederation of Trade Unions, JCTU. This landmark agreement effectively concludes the long-standing negotiations surrounding compensation restructuring for public sector workers. The Economic Program Oversight Committee Chairman Keith Duncan says the country's GDP for the April to June quarter was flat. He also notes inflation is steadily falling within the central bank's targeted range of 4 to 6% and reasons Hurricane Beryl will further slow growth in critical economic drivers like agriculture. And the vendor who went viral for urinating in a plastic container has been charged. The incident, which sparked outrage on social media, occurred outside the Charles Gordon Market in St. James.
And now it's time for social media.
So, what's trending in our local social media spaces? Prime Minister Andrew Holness makes history as the first sitting Jamaican Prime Minister to earn a PhD in law and policy. He completed his doctoral studies at Northeastern University, exploring the impact of U.S. gun laws on Jamaican society. He'll formally graduate in June next year. Here are some of your reactions. At Scott Freeney writes, I would love to read his thesis. Congratulations, sir. At KT_record 2K22 shares, and me here I say me I get old, me allow school. Nah man, me I go back to sit down in class. At Sonia Kai comments, setting a good example. You can hold one of the highest titles in the land and still push for more. At Sweetsmar posts, congratulations are in order, but when you find time for study, sir, with this set of people you have to lead. At Miss Anne-Marie Patterson adds, congrats Dr. Holness. To be running a country and find time to pursue higher education at the same time cannot be easy. At Lan_noise says, regardless of political landscape and beliefs, however anyone feels about your administration and the policies, congrats to our PM. That is a major achievement. And that's what's trending online today. Continue to share your thoughts with us on X at CVM TV and the CVM_television on Instagram. I'm Ronaldo Adams.
And we go now to regional and international news.
We begin with news in the region. 24 soldiers and police officers from Jamaica arrived in Haiti on Thursday to join a UN-backed mission led by Kenya to fight powerful gangs. Here's more from France 24 English.
Long promised and long awaited, a contingent of 20 soldiers and 4 police officers from Jamaica, as well as 2 Belizean soldiers, have now touched down in Port-au-Prince, where they join the 400 Kenyan police deployed in June and July.
To gather here today for the sole purpose of welcoming our brothers from Jamaica and Belize for this special mission that we are undertaking. And I can tell the Haitian community and the Haitian people, as I said earlier, we are not going to fail you.
The mission's mandate is to counter gangs, improve security conditions in the country, and secure critical infrastructure. In May, Jamaica pledged their support for the mission, promising a contingent of 200 officers, but the Prime Minister said it was not possible to deploy them all at once.
In St. Lucia, the Tennelle Health Sciences University has opened its doors